finished.
Yeah.
Career's over. Neville Wright.
Well done, Neville. Well done, Neville. 10 years since he started his career on
Just gave
this
himself
track.
away.
Thanks, Canada.
My name is Neville Wright. I'm a former sprinter for Canada and 3-time Olympian in the sport of bobsleigh. During my journey, I've learned what it takes to be an elite level athlete. I've gone through my share of challenges and hardships, losing my father at a young age, dealing with financial hardships, and challenge after challenge after challenge. But it's through these challenges that I learned that I don't have to become a statistic, that I can rise above that and do great things. Now that I'm retired, I'll be using my experience to connect with different Canadian athletes. I'll be opening up a dialogue with champions from across the country to hear their stories, learn about their successes and their failures, and what drives them to perform at the highest level. And what do I hope to learn? What it takes to be a true champion, the right way. Today I'm here with 5-on-5 basketball Olympians and 3-on-3 superstars, Michelle and Catherine, the Plouffe sisters. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having us. Yeah, excited to be with you guys.
Great for you guys to be here. So how have you all been doing during this time?
We're doing as good as anyone. We've adjusted. We've flown across the Atlantic, did a Tour de France before we came back.
All right.
But we're back in Canada, back home in Edmonton. We're just soaking in the time we get to spend with family. Just being away from our family for 8 months of the year, usually. We miss out on a lot of that. So we're definitely enjoying that time.
Michelle, you competed in the 2012 and 2016 games, and Catherine competed in the 2016 games in Rio. Mm-hmm. So for the 2012, when that was happening, were you both trying to vie for a spot, or was like one only doing it, or like how was that dynamic there?
We both tried out. She made it. I was like, oh my gosh, she made it. I was sad for myself, like, oh. But obviously, one of us was vying for a spot to go to the Olympics, and that was awesome.
And then for Michelle, so when you made the 2012 roster, take me through that.
That first Olympic experience was so new, mm-hmm. but it was also new for the whole team because Canadian women hadn't qualified since 2000. Mm-hmm. And so
it was a big,
to do that with like women who were playing their last year of the national team, Teresa Gabriel, Chelsea Aubry, like just to qualify with that group of women was like the most unforgettable probably summer that I had with the national team.
So I found that the city of Edmonton has helped me a lot and really supported me in my journey as an athlete. How has the city of Edmonton contributed to you and both of your successes as athletes?
We're hometown girls. Like we grew up in Edmonton, went to Harry and Lee High School. You know, we still went back there and used their gym. Like everyone's really supported us. And even when the national team was brought back to train here in 2013, it became the home base for the women's national team, 5-on-5. So we just saw that support grew around that team. I'm super proud that it's been in our city that women's basketball has grown. And, you know, sometimes previous to the basketball coming to Edmonton, it was in Toronto. And a lot of stuff gets lost in Toronto because there's so much going on there. And to have it in Edmonton on the west side of the country, that was new, first of all. And to have it in Edmonton where there wasn't a professional basketball team, like it really provided an opportunity for the city to see basketball, to get behind basketball. And Basketball Alberta has done a great job in growing it in our province. And that's just super exciting.
So you make the transition from 5-on-5 to 3-on-3. So what are the major differences between the two, like in regards to rules, play, team dynamic?
So 3x3 is half court. There's 3-on-3. You have one sub. And when the ball goes through the net, it's live, essentially. So once the opposing team scores, you can take the ball and you have to pass it or dribble it to the three-point line. But you're essentially guarded out. So it's different from 5-on-5 because you don't stop moving essentially unless you get the chance to sit on the chair for the sub. And you just have the ball in your hand and you're moving constantly. It's a lot more physical. We learned that. I like that because I would always get 5 fouls or close to in 5-on-5 games. And so it's just a super physical game. It's exciting because the play continues. And I think that's why a lot of fans are attracted to it and find it exciting, is because there's always something happening. I love it because I think it's great for skill development at a young age, is where I think kids should play 3x3 exclusively almost, because they get to work on so many things. Like, you spend time practicing. In 5-on-5, you might get the ball like a handful of times in the whole game. But in 3-on-3, you get the ball all the time. You can practice what you've been practicing in the game, and it's just fun because you're always involved. So those are a few things.
Well, I mean, I really appreciate you all, coming out and sharing your stories and sharing your journey with me and your whole experience. I mean, it's been a pleasure to have you both. And, I really wish you all the best during your journey. And I mean, once you come out of it, I'm looking forward to seeing what you all do.
Thanks, Neville. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thanks for being on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the champ is here. The champ is here. Today, I'm speaking with Erica Wiebe, the 2016 Olympic champion in freestyle wrestling, 75 kilos. Erica, how are you doing today?
Hey, I am doing great. It's great to see you, Neville.
You as well. So what have you been doing with your time lately?
Not a lot, and no wrestling, so that's a big change for me. But other than that, my days are pretty standard. I just have some to-do things. I have some little projects. I've been able to keep working out and staying fit, and I picked up some new hobbies. So it's going pretty good.
All right. So I'll start off and just ask, when did you start doing wrestling?
I started in grade 9. It was like I was very athletic as a kid. I was always on new adventures and played a lot of soccer, a lot of skiing, basketball, everything. And then I remember, we had wrestling in our gym class in like grade 7 or 8, but there was no wrestling team for girls at the school. So I was exposed to the sport and I was like, man, this is cool and like weird. And then in grade 9, they had a sign posted outside the gymnasium door and it said co-ed wrestling practice. And I was like, wrestling? Like, can wear spandex and wrestle with the boys. Like, this sounds very intriguing. And so I convinced 3 of my best friends to join the team with me. I really had no role models. I had no exposure to it. I never watched pro wrestling. It was just like a thing that was offered at my high school that I never heard about, that I decided I wanted to try.
What about like your friends and stuff? Like, how do they feel about that?
Honestly, like, the one like superpower that I have is like I've always been unapologetic about pursuing what I love.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people ask me like, well, what did your friends say about joining wrestling? And I was like, I don't even know, because that never even crossed my mind, because I was like so into it and like so on this path of like pursuing my purpose that like I had no idea what was going on over there.
So now you have your first kind of taste of the Olympics in 2012, but you go as a training partner.
And I got to see the entire process of how the athletes prepared. And I got to watch 2 of my Canadian Olympic wrestling teammates win Olympic medals firsthand.
Now Olympics are done, and now you're like, that's your goal to get there. So we go to 2014, where you have an amazing year. Every tournament that you entered, you won.
Yeah.
And is a 36 straight wins?
Yeah. It was a big year for me.
So were you preparing differently? Did you have a new focus? Were you, setting goals for yourself? What kind of things were you doing?
Yeah, I think actually there was a moment in 2013 that was like a turning point for me. And it was the final competition of the summer before the World Championships. And I was wrestling the 2012 Olympic champion in my weight class.
Yeah.
And she's the Russian amazing wrestler, and she's Olympic champion. And I was like, you know what, Erica, like all I need to do is go out there and make this the toughest match she's ever competed in. Like just fight for every single point, like be gritty and tough in every single situation. And I ended up beating her 8-7 and pinning her in like the final 10 minutes of the match.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was like, in that moment, I was like, man, like I could really be somebody in this sport.
So now we get to the Olympic year. You know, you're training, you're focused. Like bring me through kind of like your mindset and your headspace and how you were training that Olympic year.
I remember when we started in 2016 and I sat down with my coach, Paul Ragusa, and we sat down, we had a meeting, and he's like, Erica, I'm not going to ask you to do anything this year that I don't think you can do. But he said, I'm going to push you and I'm going to challenge you. And he did. And there were so many moments in that year of 2016 that I felt like I was going to break, but I also trusted in the process, and I trusted in Paul and the people around me that I was going to get through it and I was going to be stronger because of it.
I know all far too well of going through those disappointments or those ups and downs and those moments where you start to question, like, can I do this? That consistent internal battle that we go with ourselves. Like we compete against other individuals and other teams, but then one of the biggest battles that we always have to fight against is competing within ourselves, right? I mean, that's probably our greatest opponent, probably for most athletes, I'd say.
I think like, you know, for most humans, I think, you know, we constantly face this decision every single morning, whether you're trying to take over the world in the sport of wrestling or bobsled, or, you know, you're trying to raise a family, or you're trying to, you know, go to work every single day. I think there's like so many challenges that we face, and there's always that voice of negativity. There's always that voice of fear.
So you win your semifinal, you qualify for the final. What's going through your head at that moment?
So I won the semifinal match, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm in an Olympic final.
Yeah.
Like, I am guaranteed an Olympic medal. And it was just like, it was insane. So that moment when after I won, like, and I didn't even realize it really, honestly. Like the buzzer rang and I was like a zombie because I was so focused on like executing. But the buzzer rang and I was like, blue, 2, red, 1. And I looked down and I'm like, I'm wearing blue. Olympic semifinal. I was like, I think I just won an Olympic medal. Like it was crazy.
So now, gold medal match. Whistle blows, you engage. Bring me through what's going on right there.
You know, I just spent the entirety of those 6 minutes, you know, thinking about where my hands need to go, where my feet need to go. How am I going to score? How am I going to attack? And that was it. And it was this really cool moment because the match ends, the whistle blows, the match ends. And I just kind of stand there like in the daze. Because it took me a second to really allow it to sink in and accept that the magnitude of what had just happened. It's surreal. Like it still feels surreal. It's still hard to believe. Like it all just happened so fast. Like, you know, this moment on the mat with my coach, with my friends, the family. My mom got taken backstage and I hugged her. You know, within 5 minutes, I had to put on my podium wear and actually get the medal and actually feel, and then I'm on the podium and it's like, we're singing "O Canada" and like feel, you know, I'm feeling the weight of the medal around my neck. And then I have to go to doping and then I have to go to media. And then it goes like a million miles a minute.
How did everything change for you?
I think there's an incredible responsibility. You know, I think we receive so much investment as athletes, you know, from our supporters, like emotional and financial investment. And so there's like this incredible, you know, responsibility to like live up to the ideals of what it means to be an Olympic champion. And, the metal is like so shiny and beautiful, but it's also very heavy too. And I knew that I wasn't done competing. I knew that I still had so much more in me. I felt like I was only scratching the surface of what I was capable of as a wrestler. But I also knew that I would now have the burden of having to try and live up to the expectations of what it means in my sport to compete as somebody who had already won the Olympic Games.
So you qualify for the games now, and boom, this massive pandemic happens. And you're not sure what's going to happen. And all of a sudden they say they're postponing the Olympics till 2021. What's the first thing you start to think, or how are you feeling when you hear this?
The day that they officially announced it, I definitely grieved. I was, very sad. We operate in 4-year cycles, and I was ready to compete this summer. I made plans for 2021. I was really excited to take the year off. And obviously that wasn't going to happen. But, looking at, what was happening in terms of the global pandemic, it knew it would not be possible to have the games in the summer. And so it was the right choice. It's tough to deal with, but it's the reality of what we're experiencing today.
Well, Erica, I really appreciate you coming out and speaking with me and sharing your story and your journey. I mean, it's very inspiring, and to hear, different perspectives from other athletes. So, I want to wish you all the best. Continue to stay healthy and safe, and I will definitely be looking for you in 2021. The new Erica Wiebe coming out in 2021 to show us the business.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Neville. And, I really think that what you said in the podcast, and just hear about like being a champion because of like where you come from and who you are now, is like so true, and something that I hold in my heart. So
thank you.
Awesome.
All right. Well, you take care.
Okay. Bye.
My next guest is a truly amazing athlete. Competes in a sport that's one of my first loves of sport. 3-time Olympian, Angela White. Angela, how you doing today?
I'm not too bad. How are you doing, Neville?
Not too bad. I mean, despite the situations that's going on, I'm not too bad. So what have you been up to lately?
Probably the same kind of stuff that everybody else has been up to, just trying to make adjustments to a new routine, and kind of just navigating with all the restrictions and kind of safeguards that have been put in place during this time.
So your career spans as long as almost 20 years, roughly around?
Close to 20 years, yeah. My first world team was in 2001, which was held in Edmonton, Alberta, which was really exciting to be able to make that team and run in front of my family, friends, and just the hometown crowd.
And then you continued on to make every single world championship team up to 2009. Is that correct?
No. So actually I made every single national team up until 2011 was my first team that I did not make.
Okay.
So from 2001 all the way up until 2011, I was on the national team, and I didn't qualify for 2011 and 2012. Yeah. The Olympics in London. I was an alternate. Okay. Made the team again in 2013. Made the team in 2014. Missed 2015. Came back 2016. So it's been kind of that up and hill. You fight. Yeah. You fall down. You fight again type of thing.
So, obviously, what it takes to be a high-performance athlete. There's a lot of sacrifice and hard work and dedication. What would you say were the biggest sacrifices that you've had to make in order to go after this dream of, performing at a high level, making it to the games, and just keep pushing yourself?
Contrary to what a lot of people might think a professional athlete is, we're not in track and field. We're not NBA. We're not NHL. We don't get these multi-million-dollar contracts. So a lot of it is like we're hoping for the best as far as maybe hopefully getting carded, which does help. Hopefully, you know, at one point when I was at my best, I was sponsored, which helps. But I've also been very lucky that after I graduated, I stayed at the University of Idaho to train, and I was able to remain on aid, so financial aid, because I was a coach. It's not for everybody. Yeah. It's not for the faint at heart. There's times when you're broke. Yeah. Those are the sacrifices that you make because you know that you can't get a regular 9 to 5. As an aging athlete, right? So, you know, we're considered the old dogs in sport. Have you ever had a moment where you are still training and competing and working towards your goal, and people are like, you know, when are you going to give this up? I'm trying to be one of the oldest female athletes to ever compete at the Olympics in a power speed event. And I've not taken a break. It's not like I've kind of gone into retirement and started a family and then go, you know what, let me go one more time. It's like been this steady grind. Yeah. I get it. Not very many athletes continue their careers well beyond their prime. And I know that there's all this research that kind of favors the youth. And I get it, you know, but that's not to say that it can't be done. And I feel like we're missing an opportunity for older athletes because sports and physical activity do not stop when you're out of your prime, nor should it. No. I think physical activity that's a lifestyle that is forever. So, I mean, we kind of talked a bit about with the whole COVID situation where, you know, they postponed the games to 2021. So when you hear that news, what was the first thing kind of going through your head when you heard that? So once they made that announcement, obviously it was like I wanted it to be this year. Yeah. But then there's also a little bit of relief because now you don't have to grapple with trying to reconcile being a safe citizen. Yeah. Not for just yourself, but for everybody. Yeah. But then also like trying to achieve your dream of making this team. So it's postponed for one more year without a guarantee. There's no guarantee that it will happen. Mm. Do you know what I mean? Depending on how the whole COVID-19 kind of how it proceeds down the line. And I'm okay with that. I really am. Because I know what I'm doing. I want to keep going for one more year. Gonna keep doing that, try to make it work. And we'll see everybody in the summer of 2021. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching your journey. And like I said, every time I talk to you, it starts to gas me up where I'm like, man, if she's going, then I'm going to go as well too. So thank you so much for taking this time to share your story and your journey with me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, no, and thank you for the time because, I mean, I appreciate anybody who loves sport and you've created this platform to bring those stories to everybody and hopefully inspiring other people to write their story the way they want it to be written. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Angela. All right. Thank you.
You know, it was great hearing everyone's stories and comparing them and realizing how similar a lot of our challenges have been. And after hearing everyone's story, I'm telling you, like, I feel so inspired that sometimes it makes me start to think that, could I actually do this again?